like, what are you talking about?
My girlfriend is Madam X, and she is quite the amazing woman.
My name is Madam X. You know, X is it's the spot. It's where the treasure is. You know?
It's a great deal dating a burlesque dancer, performer. Just because life it's exciting and it's fun. Seeing her a couple of times perform. I was actually helping to do a lot of photography for churchgoers. And then shortly after that, she came to the scene. And I saw the piece. I remember seeing the piece, and I was with her with my friend that owned the photography business, so I was helping out with. And I was watching her walk off stage, and my friend looked at me. She's like, "Don't even think about it, Glenn. You don't even have a chance." And I was like, I wasn't even thinking about it anyway, so whatever. And funny thing, years later, I ended up with her.
I actually know Panda Sal through mountain biking.
So funny thing, we actually met because we're both mountain bikers. She was preparing herself for this long bike trip where she was going to ride her mountain bike from Canada to New Mexico. And she posted on one of the Facebook pages, "Hey, I need help I need to learn basic mechanic skills for my bike. I'm doing this trip, blah, blah, blah." So I already knew, I kind of already knew of her, and we're both Chinatown rats. So I already knew that she was a performer to begin with. I kind of maybe stalked her on Facebook a little bit. I messaged her about it and I showed her a few basic things, and ever since then we haven't stopped hanging out. So.
And at some point, Butterstuff was like, "Hey, that guy's pretty cool." It's like, "Yeah, he's pretty cool too." Butterstuff's like, "Yeah, he's cool enough to come in our circle." So yeah. Butterstuff's my, HR guy. So anyone that comes into my circle, like Butterstuff's gotta give, well, he doesn't have thumbs. He's a dog, so yeah, he's like, "Paw though. I should have brought Butterstuff." He's always been a thing. It's just a matter of someone else recognizing that and be like, "You. Yeah. What is that thing?" He's Filipino and Puerto Rican. Like, it's dancing in his DNA, you know what I mean? He's got rhythm. It's like internal. Like, I don't know. Yeah. He's a mover and a shaker, like literally. I'm pretty sure at some point he won a twerking contest.
Just because it's always a great time backstage. Sometimes things can get a little crazy, a little hectic, but that's actually the fun part of it, at first it was, my girlfriend has been doing it for a long time and she just kind of asked me to help out. I was like, sure. And I've always kind of been around the scene for a long time.
Like when you're around a performer enough, you just by default end up in that world, It's not a bad world. It's a great world. It's a world people only wish they could be. It's a world people dream about, you know what I mean? It's awesome. It's such a great world.
what burlesque was in name when I was a kid, but I did know what it was in, visual. For example, Jessica Rabbit. I'm sure every little girl always will mention Jessica Rabbit being one of their first, kind of eye-opening kind of like moments when you see that, beautiful woman come out on stage and perform, and she's sexy. But as a kid, you don't know what sexy is. You just know you like it. And I think any other like cartoon, movie, or character that was always a little bit like sexy or had a really beautiful costume and like danced, I was always very enamored with that and really wanted to be that character, even before I really knew what burlesque was.
My first memory of burlesque, I think the first time really absorbing burlesque and being like, that's what I want to be. I grew up with musicals and everything because of my mother and my grandmother and all of that. But the first time knowing that I want to do what she's doing is when I watched Elvira's movie, Mistress of the Dark. I think I was like 10 when I saw that the first time. And her end scene with the spider and the awesome tassels, that's seeing her. I'm like, she's the cool weird like me. That's what I want to be. Like that's me. So that was the first thing that really made me feel.
And then there was this other thing that I saw. It was like the gong show, and it was this lady who was doing like an ostrich feather fan dance, and like she was like all right doing this feather dance. And then they gonged her right before she revealed her boobs. And I was like, whoa! The power that she had! They were so nervous! The whole panel, and they were like, oh my gosh, she's really gonna show us her boobs on national television. Gong her! I thought, wow, that's some power with boobies that she has, and she didn't even show them. And I thought, what is that? I didn't realize what it was.
Oh my god. Boobs. Skin.
My name is Shauna, the Black Venus. I'm a burlesque dancer, one of the best. Actually, it was a talent show that I entered, and I was out with a couple girls, and the talent they had, the girls were really bad. And I said, I can do that. So I got up on stage, and I won the contest. And then I started dancing two-piece. Much more money and topless. Then I saw a couple burlesque dancers, Lee Sharon being one. She is the one that really inspired me. I decided I wanted to do shows. I wanted the wardrobe, I wanted the music, the dance, everything to coincide. And that's actually how I got started in burlesque. I came to Hawaii in 1984. I had an agent, and he asked me if I wanted to dance in Hawaii, and yes. And he said, they're dying to see your fire show. And it was my fire show that actually got me over here. But I had a couple different shows, but it was the fire show that was the biggie. I twirled tassels with fire, blew fire out of my mouth, set my G-string on fire. It was a great show. There weren't African Americans, people of color. No, there weren't that many, hardly at all. And especially East Coast, Midwest. Puerto Rico was great. Yeah, but no, there weren't. If I was booked at a club, I would be the only person of color most of the time, if I got in the club at all. And that's just the way it was. I just kind of got used to that. It was the way things were. I headlined maybe 3-4 times that whole time that I was dancing. I was content with just doing my shows because my shows were good. My shows were very good. But it didn't make any difference if you were a person of color. You still didn't even get that high booking. That's just the way things were back then.
magical places I've ever had the pleasure to experience.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Watch me.
They actually do say, where's the little brass huts and the that's always amazing to me. I mean, how long are the Hawaiian people supposed to be in grass skirts? I mean, they just have it in their head that that is the way that everyone is over here, and that's just not true. And it certainly isn't with burlesque. Not at all. Not at all. Every now and then there'll be one or two performers that actually do hula or Tahitian dancing, and that's different. That's great.
What people don't know about Hawaii is that, you know, despite the fact that I have grown up in Hawaii my whole life, grew up in Hawaii, and I don't practice hula.
And I believe that Cherry Blossom really kind of set the tone of like, hey, we don't have to do hula, or like, you know what I mean? Like, we can be girls and we can like show our midriff and something else.
I came to town in 1956, the first show I did, I got the Japanese girls, 3 of them, to open their kimono. First time a Japanese girl opened her kimono and paraded around, and that was sensational. That's when I got the word. From where, I don't know, but I thought, here we can make some money. So, at that time, the Follies was being torn down. Herm Rosen, who owned the Roosevelt Theater, saw my show and he said, I want you to put a burlesque show in the Roosevelt. And I said, okay, so we put a burlesque show in there. I bought 6 strippers from the mainland and we did a show. Never thinking that strippers would fit in nightclubs because it wasn't done. And so when they closed the Roosevelt, I moved the strippers to the Forbidden City, and that's when it opened up. And I found out then that there were no laws regarding nudity. People ran around bare-titted in Hawaii in 1800s. Why all of a sudden all this confusion on the stage? So I did nudity, and every time we did a show, the police would raid us.
I was just about to ask about your checkered legal past, if you don't mind us filling us in on some of the epic court battles that you had.
It became hysterical. That's when I became the darling of the newspapers because they'd arrest me, and in those days they had a paddy wagon, and they would handcuff you, put you and the girls, and me and the girls in the paddy wagon. And so before I would go, I'd say, "Officer, may I please go to the restroom?" "Yes," okay. So I'd run to my office and I'd call the newspaper, the tease. And I would stay in there until they would arrive. And so we always got pictures of us getting into the paddy wagon. Poor Jack again, poor young lady being arrested for lewd and lascivious conduct. And it was that publicity that made the nightclubs. You can't buy that kind of publicity.
There's no such thing as bad publicity, right?
Yes, fabulous publicity. And we did it over and over. So then they had to wear what they call a pasty. Since we're into burlesque talking, the girls would take the bra off, but they had to glue a pasty on the nipple, which I thought was the most ridiculous thing I'd ever seen. So I took the pasties off, and there again we were arrested for indecent exposure, lewd, lascivious conduct.
Well, what would that one thing be?
Take it off.
Everybody in jail here tonight.
So let me get this straight. You're gonna take everyone in this freaking auditorium to jail tonight, unless you get a spot in tomorrow's show?
Tomorrow's show. Hit it!
I think it just depends on what state you were working. Some of the states were really, really strict, but there was always the ones that the liquor control, they didn't check. And you could wear teeny tiny G-strings, or you could wear teeny tiny pasties, or else in some cases, pasties not at all. Just depends on how but most of the law, usually in its states, they want pasties. Even if there was, for a while there, you could paint your nipple same the same color as your skin, and well, that didn't go on with that.
And the funny thing is with burlesque, I do not even strip down as far as I can. Like, I'm legit afraid to pop a pasty.
This is a quirk of mine where I'm very appropriate time and place for everything, you know? And if I ever popped a pasty at the art museum, I would just be mortified, you know?
And they started one went that way and one went. Then I saw somebody twirling tassels, and I said, I can do that. Well, I could do it, but I practiced and practiced, then I could do it. You stand in front of a mirror, and with me, it was always shoulder, throw the chest, shoulder, throw the chest. You have to use your muscles. your shoulder, and your chest muscles. And it's like, I can just stand and go, da-da, 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 and they'll go, and then you drop one shoulder, it'll stop, and you drop the other shoulder, and then start again, and it'll stop. You reverse your arms like this, your boobs will go inward this way.
Shake your booties. They're not allowed to do that in Maui. Let's give them a hand!
Alright, this is called the twirl off. For those of you in past years that have been to any of our fundraisers, we do a burlesque festival twirl-a-thon where we put a set of bras with pasties on you, and then whoever twirls them the longest is deemed our winner.
Seizure. Let's just loosen up the hips a little bit, guys. The hips are the things down here. There you go. There you go. Just grind your hips a little bit. This serves absolutely no purpose. Let's do it there. I think it's time for you to think of a safe word. If you don't know what a safe word is, it's something in the event someone is doing something to you, around you, or in you. You can utter this safe word and perhaps they'll stop doing what they're doing. Perhaps. Not grace, however, apparently. But it's very important to have a safe word. You know why Jesus died on the cross? Forgot his safe word. You're missing Jesus. Do you think he killed him? Now what I want you to do is I want you to turn to someone that you've come with or hope to come with later. Just turn to them and look them in the eyes. Go ahead. If there's three of you, it's French. That's fine. Ladies, go ahead and turn towards each other. It's not necessarily gay if you're drunk. If you want it to be, that's fine.
It's not gay if it's in a three-way.
Now turn to them and look them in the eyes and repeat after me. My darling, I love you. You are the light of my life. be with you forever. This is your last night on earth.
Metaphorically speaking, it's a lot of cat herding for sure, definitely. But I enjoy it. I like being able to tell story from this vantage point and be able to kind of guide people through this experience of burlesque and cabaret. I'll be able to kind of create a narrative, create a world that people can drop into and give them kind of, you know, a beginning, middle, and end, a way to kind of frame what they're seeing, a way to connect with what they're seeing, and a way to see how it can apply to their own journey, their own spirit, their own sense of place in the world. My role is kind of like Peter Falk in The Princess Bride. You know, all these chapter stories, and the audience is the little kid in bed. So in between, the little kid's asking questions about what it all means, and that's kind of my job, is to kind of take some of that and frame it in the right way and keep the story going.
And now, friends, we bring back to the stage a dance troupe that infuriated Fifi to no end. She would go on and on and on and then on some more about how they were ruining cabaret, making it tawdry and slutty and overtly sexual. All wins in my book.
Stage panda is what you would want to call me. I am basically one of the people who kind of help out behind the scenes, clean up the stage, do whatever I need to do in the back to help things get going.
The most epic stage panda ever, Panda Sal. Yeah, Panda Sal is so cool. He is the most awesome stage pandas. He is the stage pandas that all other pandas wish they could be. He's got it, man. It's like show, boom, done. Like Panda Sal shows up, life is gonna be good. Like he's the putter-outer of fires, you know, or he'll start one if you really want him to. Like he's cool at that too. He's so awesome.
So up here, excuse me. Do it slowly. I love a man who can handle a big stick.
The stage kittens, they're an integral part of the show. They're actually the most important part because they keep the show going.
A burlesque performer, she does her choreography from start to finish and the end of the song. And you have that moment of applause and appreciation. I don't think that part of her persona on the stage should involve scurrying around after herself and picking up, the things that she's teased the audience with. Let her have the moment of the spotlight and closure and exit gracefully. And I think as one of the interns, we go around and we pick up stuff, and it's part of the fun of it for the audience, because now you have, there's another person, and lucky her, she gets to pick up that piece because that dancer was so incredible.
Anywhere from clothes to giant rocket ships and everything in between it.
Who's responsible for this shoddy work? All right, it's the fucking new guy. Come here. What the hell is going on there, pal? We'll clean it up now. If it happens again, you're fired. Come on, let's go. It's all fun and games till someone has their head bashed into a chandelier.
No, it's not only just girls that are doing this. They're actually, last year, right around this time, I went to Burlesque Hall of Fame. And they have a pretty good up and coming of like burlesque. I guess that's how they refer to it as.
I call it surlesque. For male burlesque, I think that the typical usual thing is a more effeminate approach to burlesque for most guys. I kind of wanted to go sort of the exact opposite of that, with just being more masculine oriented.
One and only drag king. From the far off lands of Ohio. He has been confusing audience for over 8 years, and it's okay, because there's a little bit gay in all of us, right?
My name is Hunter Down, and I am a boylesque/draglesque performer. I can't say when I guess I started performing boylesque officially the very first Burlesque Fest. But I've been doing drag that has elements of burlesque in it for about 9 years now. When I was in college, I had gone to a Pride in my hometown of Pittsburgh, and I saw some of the drag kings perform, and I was very unimpressed with the drag king scene there. And I had seen drag queens, but never really a high caliber of drag kings. And I wanted to start getting involved. So I started playing around with mustaches and binding techniques and clothes and songs. I like the openness that you have with gender. I think that it's fun to play around with that and create a mindset for people, and then you kind of shock them because they think one thing, and it's almost if they think it, that's what they see. And then to totally twist that on people and create almost an alternate identity in their mind, and then to shake that whole foundation of what they feel is appropriate or gender specific, really kind of makes the whole craft very fun and entertaining. It's almost like a magic show where you get to play all of these different characters and embody a persona. And then at the end, you kind of reveal that I am a girl, and that kind of messes with people. I always find that very fun. Sometimes it's shocked. I mean, I've never really gotten bad feedback from it. Most of the time, people are just really surprised, or if they had talked to me before I performed and they were assuming that I was a man, after I performed, they suddenly feel like almost tricked and kind of silly. I get referred to as he quite often I prefer she, because that's what I am. So they often feel like I pulled a fast one on them, and that a little bit uncomfortable because I think they feel vulnerable. It's a very touchy area for people with gender, and then that plays into homosexuality as well. So the whole situation can kind of create feelings of just feeling very vulnerable in the situation where they don't want to offend, but they're never really sure what to say or how to go about saying it. So often it's just like "you're great," and then I think the whole thing kind of takes a little time for that to set in. And later on, they probably feel like, "Oh wow, I don't even know what I watch," but it's kind of fun to watch people's faces for sure. And I've had plenty of men that totally are like palling around with me in the beginning, and then at the end, that whole gender role plays a difference because they think in the beginning, we're broing it out, and then by the end they realize I'm a girl, and they suddenly feel like they need to be more gentlemanly, and there's suddenly the element of attraction and sex added to it, which makes them start to question their sexuality of, well, I like this person, but they look like a boy, so does that mean that I'm gay? And I'm not gay, am I? I mean, I just watched a drag show, and so everything kind of like marinates, and then people, I think it breaks barriers, and I think it creates, an atmosphere and a situation where it opens doors for people to talk about things and to explore those situations that maybe they have biases that they don't even understand about it. So I think it really helps to build an understanding of current transgender issues, of homosexuality issues, of gender issues, of gender roles. And I think it's something that society definitely needs to be talking about. Should have a world where anybody can be whoever they want to be without fear of persecution from any type of people, no matter what their art is. So I hope that we're building the foundation through burlesque, through drag, and through performance of kind of showcasing people's homophobia and racism and genderism and all of these things that still exist, but I think are now more hidden than ever, as opposed to being so blatantly open and obvious about it.
Well, I have been a full-time artist for over 6 years now. My family has always known, everybody's known, all my neighbors know what I do. We are the circus house is what a lot of people call us. And it is funny because in my area, a lot of people will be like, I feel like I know you because I have my hands in a lot of things in my area. So I do know a lot of people, my paths cross a lot of different things. But the joke is, oh, I recognize you, but I don't know how I recognize you. I open with, well, I probably have my clothes on. Maybe that's how you don't recognize me. And then they all laugh, and I'm like, yeah, you know, my hair's up. I have clothes on. I'm, you know, with Keyhole Peep Show, or I'm with my theater company. They're like, oh, yeah, that's right. You're the tassel girl. That's right. And you're like the mermaid and the tassel girl. Like, that's what people know me as in my area. So, and with the biker husband, we're the cool, unusual, crazy couple. So, yeah. But I'm blessed in my community. A lot of people do know about me. Definitely some people don't like it. But the people that do like it and support us far outweigh the people with attitudes. You know, kind of thing. And the people that give me attitudes, I just go and keep on doing it. You know, kind of thing.
Well, I come from a pretty religious family. My father's actually a pastor. Yeah, there's this old saying that PKs are kind of the worst of the bunch. So us preacher kids tend to go a little wild. But yeah, they're very accepting, loving me with all of that. But it was really hard for them to swallow it.
My mom definitely was not sure how to feel about it at first. She was like, what are you doing? I like downplayed it a little bit at first, and then I'm like, no, it's fun. Like, this is good. It's fun. I'm really enjoying it. And she's like, okay, as long as you're happy, you're good.
It's a good, healthy project. It's not something that's, you know, I don't know.
It's not like we're doing drugs or anything like that.
Yeah.
It still is expensive, but you know, like...
Oh my god.
No, my parents still don't know I do it. It's kind of a big secret. They would not approve. They are both very right-wing, very conservative. My mother's Catholic. I remember once going shopping with her at a Hot Topic, and she would not let me buy a pair of red raver pants because only hookers wear red pants, she said.
I actually have nightmares about what would happen if she ever found out. And, you know, which is why, you know, she's not technically savvy, so I keep her off Facebook, so... and I also block most of my family, so they can't really go back and tell her much of anything because they don't know what's going on.
What are your coworkers going to say if they see the documentary? And I said, well, I'll just smile and wave. I used to be kind of hiding the fact that I do burlesque and hiding the fact that I'm a crossdresser. Now I'm not hiding it anymore. I'm not going out every day and dressing up like this every day, but I do it on a regular basis.
My relatives, my husband's relatives, they practically disown me, but I didn't care for them anyway, most of them. My sister said, you know, why are you taking your clothes off?
Yeah, a little bit of like, they didn't understand why I felt the need to be naked in front of people and why I needed to show that to the world.
Taking off your clothes in public, no, you don't take off your clothes in public. Just like, you know, that's what every parent would tell their little girl, you know.
And for me, it wasn't about just being naked in front of a bunch of strangers. It's more about self-liberation and self-expression and self-love. So that's where it stems from for me, and that's where the argument on my side comes from.
The idea of being on stage and, much to my mother's delight, My mother actually came to see me one time after my father passed away. It was my fire show. She came and she said, "I had no idea you could move like that." It was funny. It was because my mother was like prim and proper, and she didn't go in bars and stuff like that. Not at all. But it was nice that she came to see what the heck I was doing. And she was kind of impressed. I think she had like a lot of women have that bad idea that women are doing whatever, when they're dancing. So it was me. She did not bring her daughter up to be a dancer. At least not that kind of dancer. I took ballet and tap.
My mother actually was recently here on the island and she saw a performance. She cried a little, yeah, but in the end we hugged it out, and as long as she knows that I'm being safe, then she's happy.
I definitely got a lot of opposition from my coworkers when I was doing it. And I would be like, "Hey, I'm doing this. I've got this like dance show." They're like, "Oh, you're stripping. You're a stripper." I'm like, "No, I'm not though. Like, it's not." And not that that's a bad thing.
Those people that go like, "Oh my God, that's stripping."
We're stripping.
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 Stripping. Stripper.
Strippers.
So we're talking like a strip club?
Something happened a long time ago in Western culture that made us think that sex is dirty and wrong and sinful and should only be done for procreation. And I like to blame a lot of that on Christianity. I don't know how founded or unfounded that is. As taboo as it is, it's not something we can get rid of, It's everywhere. Strippers are everywhere. Strip clubs are everywhere. Hello, I'm Austin Lee. I've been dancing in and out of gentlemen's clubs for about 13 years now, and I've been working in the burlesque scene for about 3 or 4 years now. So I definitely have an area of expertise more in the strip club than in the burlesque world. Because I want to be more than just a stripper, Come see all this other cool shit I'm doing. Yeah. I once took a burlesque class a few years ago, and one of the opening statements that the teacher made to the students was, "So what do you think is the difference between stripping and burlesque? Because we've been told that strippers make money and burlesquers make costumes." And that was definitely amusing, but also really true.
But stripping is just taking off your clothes.
That might be considered nudity, and that would not be burlesque. So there is a difference.
Oh, there's a huge difference. For one thing, in modern day strip clubs, people don't really dance, right?
The difference? I don't feel like there's a lot of difference.
Well, the obvious difference is that in burlesque, we don't fully take off everything. I think in stripping, there normally is an element of complete nudity, especially in the women's strip clubs. We don't have any male strip clubs here, which I think somebody should start. I definitely think that if we're going to have one for women, why not have one for men as well?
Show some skin, gonna draw people in, so.
No money, no honey. It's not all sin. Sure seems that way, doesn't it? So dark in there. I've been thinking about this. I think that there's a lot of areas where stripping and burlesque kind of overlap. Like if you did a Venn diagram with stripping and burlesque, and the stuff that overlaps is definitely that, you're taking your clothes off for the entertainment of an audience, but I think that, there are also some huge differences in the ways that you go about this performance,
You go to a strip club and you're gonna see a girl up, doing a strip tease, maybe on a pole, and they're gonna be really, really like skilled at what they do. I'm actually kind of jealous sometimes of the girls who get up and do that with their bodies. I can't do that. They got some moves, but there's a level of creativity, and I don't think it's because they don't have it. I think that it's not welcome in that striptease kind of like environment. Like, people don't pay for that. They don't go to see somebody who's got a beautiful costume, who's trying to tell a story while they're upstage. They're just there to see body parts and sexy dancing, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I really do feel that burlesque lets us be sexy and love our bodies, but at the same time, it lets us be creative and tell a story with the body.
I feel that in the strip clubs, the girls don't get as much respect as they deserve. She has to do that. She's not gonna make money unless she's really getting involved with her customers, and that's also the thing. There are sometimes customers rather than enthusiasts also, and the exchange is still similar to something that I do, but maybe she has a different goal than I do. I just kind of want to take somebody and make them feel something different. But I'm not saying that like strippers can't do that too. It's a type of therapy more than even what I'm offering, what they're offering. Because I do feel that any type of sex worker that's therapy. And what I'm doing, I feel it's more of theater, entertainment, escapism, educational. Yes, it can be, and it can be life-changing, but I just feel it's a different approach.
So you don't feel like a sex worker?
Yes and no. I mean, I would like to say that I'm a sex worker. But I don't know. I mean, I feel that more I am, my goal is to encourage that within people rather than actually having the exchange of work done between myself and someone else. What I feel is that I'm encouraging them to find that inner sexy within themselves, guy or girl, and then go experience that elsewhere.
I've been in and out of strip clubs for about 13 years. I told them in the beginning, and yeah, they were not happy about that. So I think I also got into burlesque and all the other art type things that come out of it to, compensate for my unholy soul and all the sinning I've done in the strip club. It really has that stereotype. It's definitely more difficult for me personally, because I've learned through experience, not everybody can handle you telling them that you're a stripper. Some people are really excited about it, and some people are really not, I can't tell my parents that anymore, it would break their hearts, But, I can call up my parents and tell them, hey, I am doing a burlesque performance in the art museum, There's just something classy about it. That it's a theater. We have this antique hardwood floor on the stage, It's kind of an intimate space, and there's professional lighting, Oh, they put pink and purple on me. It's great. But I think like those are elements that tie into burlesque that elevate it and like make it more art than just your face stripping thing, you know? Yeah, we have lights in the strip club, but it's not, there's not like a light guy. It's like at a computer programming what colors you want it, what songs, you know, like there's none of that. It's like, you know, somewhere in the corners, there's like these little Spencer, you know, like strobe lights and stuff. They just get turned on at the beginning of the night and that's it, you know? I think it's because we get to do it in the art museum. Like, I've never done it at Anna O'Brien's. I never got to, I don't know, I kind of did a burlesque thing once at On King, you know, but like, On King was called an art center, you know, and Doris Duke Theater is at the Honolulu Art Museum. So like, those things were in the title, and I just felt like, oh, I made it, you know, like, I have gotten out of the strip club, you know? There was not that same like shame and stigma of like, oh, well, you're a stripper, you know? It was like, what do you have to bring to the table? This could be fun, you know? What can you put in our shows? Because, you know, they're all about the variety. Whatever you are, whatever you want to do it.
I don't know if you've ever had anyone here, but it's really hard to find good help. Just kidding. Give it up for our gorgeous stage kitten. Could not survive. Literally, could not survive with all of those pussies around. Really. All right. Up next, we have a delicious, delicious tribute. Hawaii. Has made a massive impact on pop culture. In fact, I bet you couldn't go anywhere without finding a hula shirt, or macadamia nuts, or someone that knows how to hula. It's evident Hawaii has made it. Here, with their tribute to Hawaii's
I'm Miranda Cat. I'm a burlesque performer. I've been performing for about 7 years now. I think burlesque has made me a nicer person for sure, because in my real life, in my real job, I'm very assertive and I have to be like a manly man. And I think there's a dichotomy with like what society thinks we should do and what we really want to do. And there's a happy medium in between where we can exist as like a peaceful human being, right? And I think burlesque has shown me that, like, you know, you can be soft and you can be feminine. I'm a man in a dress. I'm not mocking anything. I'm trying to do a good job of it. But it's also for me because, you know, I started doing my show because I didn't feel like I had any place to perform. And it was selfish because I just wanted to perform. And so now I'm hoping that we can build audience and show people what burlesque really is. And it's for all types of body types and all people, regardless of your color, your gender. People always ask me about sexual orientation. That has nothing to do with burlesque because we're not going to have sex anyway. Right? But yeah, burlesque is just, for me, it's about getting on stage, being in a character, working hard to develop a character and a story, and telling your story through emotion and hoping that the audience takes something with them that they didn't come to the show with. So for my show, I always say, you're going to see something, you're going to go home feeling something. You may not like it, it might be weird, and you know, some burlesque performers have lavish costumes. They spend a lot of money on their costumes. I'm closer to the drag community, but I'm not a drag queen either. So I'm a cross-dresser. I don't do drag. I just do burlesque. I have a couple of drag queen friends, but and they've helped me with my makeup through the years. Because again, I don't do lip syncing and I don't do drag. People always say, "Oh, you're a drag queen," and I'm not a drag queen. I don't claim to be a drag queen. The drag queens would be offended if I call myself a drag queen because I don't do drag. And I think drag is an art in and of itself, but it's also it's like a sister to burlesque because, you know, it's the same type of feeling, same type of thing, right? We're getting on stage, we're doing something to make the audience go like, wow, that's really interesting. I wish I could do the splits, right? The drag queens do the death drops and all that. I would never be able to do that because I have bad knees and I couldn't do that. I'm married to a woman. She's supportive. At first, you know, when I came home one night from the Cherry Blossom Cabaret show, I still had eyeliner on. And I had perfume on, and my wife said, "Oh, are you dating someone? What's going on?" And I was like, "Oh, no." And then she found some panties in the wash that were my panties. And so I had to tell her, "Oh, that's mine." And I dress up, and here's my gym bag of the stuff that, like, I would get dressed in my car in Chinatown, which is not the safest thing to do. And I'd do my makeup in the car. It all came at once. She found out I was a cross-dresser. She found out I was interested in burlesque all at the same time. Quite a shock. And she's very traditional. Now she's very supportive. She's supportive of me being here. But then when my daughter was 16, I would just get dressed at home. She had a sleepover and her friends were over. And I told her, "Hey, listen, I'm going to go upstairs and get dressed up. If your friends don't want to see it, you need to go to your bedroom and go close the door because I'll just go outside and get in the car and go." And it was like 6:30 or 7 o'clock because I was getting dressed to go to a show. And she goes, "Oh, it's okay, Dad. I told them you're a cross-dresser." And she was 16. So my daughter's really cool with it. I'm not going out every day and dressing up like this every day. But I do it on a regular basis for shows and to perform. I have a studio in Chinatown. If I just feel like dressing up, I go to the studio and I dress up. And I go have a cocktail out in Chinatown. Because everyone should be able to do whatever they want to do.
I was looking for something, a hobby really, and I've always loved to dance. I'd always begged to be put in dance classes when I was younger, and I found my way into cheerleading, and that was my outlet of dance. And I moved to the island, and I was looking for a hobby, and I had just watched the movie Burlesque, and so my senses were heightened. And I Googled burlesque classes in Honolulu, and I found one. And that was the beginning of my story.
I invite friends of mine to go take burlesque classes with me. And some of them are like, but I'm not sexy. I'm like, but you could be. Do you want to be?
Are you ready? What do you think? No, you were so excited about this. You heard me say it was a crawl, right? You jumped out of your seats. Oh, Maria! You don't have to be yoga poses across the stage. We want you to crawl as sexy as possible. I want you to crawl. Are you wearing underwear? You have underwear on this arm. Do you need underwear? Would you have She's gonna do a sexy Shakti crawl. Are you ready? Yeah! There you go, the stage is yours. If you want to crawl it on, crawl it. I know this is something pretty sexy right now, but we do give women the choice.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I was totally fangirled out. So when I first walked in, I was like, oh my gosh, Violetta, Beretta, and Miss Catwings are teaching me, amazing. And I was really excited to start.
I'm here!
It was like a 5 or 6 week series. And so we did some choreography, we did some basic walking, we did a boa session and a glove heel session.
One way to stay fit and get in shape, because you work with your core, it is a workout. I tell you, anybody that thinks going to the gym is going to give you a stronger workout than getting on the dance floor with Madam X, really, we need to have a conversation, okay? I've worked with a lot of dancers, and usually by the end of the workout, every ounce of me is sweating, as is everyone else. But I also, like I said, when you're talking about something like burlesque, it gives us an opportunity to get in touch with our sexy. How can you not feel sexy?
Through teaching of the classroom aspect of burlesque, I have learned that it is all about self-love, and a lot of people think it's about ego and that we're exhibitionists and we're sex workers or all these other things, but honestly, really, it's a showcase of self-love, and this is who I am. This is what I thought was gonna be cool, and I wanna share it with you. And this is me, I love my body. And I feel like it's encouraging for other people to do the same. And then when I start talking about that dialogue that was going on in my head and teaching people how to work through it, we're conquering negative thought systems within people. I'm hearing people leave my classes saying that, they had problems and now they're feeling sexier and they're feeling confident and they're accepting themselves. Because we'll do an exercise where we do something that we like and then we'll do something that we didn't like about ourselves, and we'll constantly move with it and accent it and create a dialogue that is different than what was happening before. Some people, don't like their butt, or they do like their butt, or whatever it is, and you would change it and you would make it all empowering. And as I'm helping people, I'm healing myself. And so burlesque is healing at the end of the day. More than anything, burlesque is not about I'm sexy, but it's about that I think I'm sexy. which is totally coming from a different place.
So I grew up and I had a lot of body issues. I wasn't ever like the fat kid, but I wasn't ever the pretty girl either. So kind of always growing up comparing yourself. You know, you watch movies and you think that all of these girls and these teenagers are they look this certain way and they have these certain bodies. Well, I must be less than because I don't.
Everyone has a different idea of beauty. I also came up in the time of the 70s when there weren't very many images of Black women as beautiful, okay? And I grew up in an all-white community, and that was a struggle. So it's like, how do I find my beauty when they're telling me that I'm not? When I was a kid growing up, I heard words like, ooh, you're ushy face, you have poo-poo face color. You know, how does a child grow into a teenager that can learn to love themselves?
One of the reasons I didn't get into burlesque for a long time was because I didn't feel like I could, because I wasn't, you know, skinny and beautiful and had big boobs and a tiny waist. But then I started seeing more and more performers, and they weren't beautiful or skinny in the generic way. They were different. They were, you know, alternative. They had body sizes that were all different kinds. They had faces that were all different shapes and sizes, but they were beautiful. They were not what Hollywood or what beauty shops had made me believe beautiful looked like, but they were still beautiful, even though that they didn't fit in that mold that I think a lot of us grew up thinking that we had to fit into if we really wanted to be attractive or beautiful.
Of course, when you're half naked and with me dancing with people who are maybe not half my age, but a lot younger, we all are like, I'm fat today. But in the spectrum of the 7 years that I've been doing this, I've fluctuated at least 25 pounds. There's been times I've been heavier, and there's been times I've been lighter. And then you always have a complaint on both sides. Like, when you're heavier, you're like, yeah, I have boobs. When you're skinny, you're like, yeah, I'm skinny, but I have no boobs. So I try not to think about that anymore and just try to surf. And then I feel good, and then I don't. If I feel good physically at what I'm doing, then I don't have to think so much about what I look like. I think we're all very forgiving of each other. We always encourage each other, no matter what shape and size we are. We're all run the gamut from very tall and skinny to very voluptuous, and everybody is fantastically sexy when they work their thing. Just know what your thing is and then work it.
I am, I guess, considered plus size. I am curvy, if you will. And sometimes it's hard to find producers that will want all body types on their stage. There are a few in Los Angeles that don't cast women above a certain size. And the one beautiful thing about burlesque in general is the self-acceptance. It's all the different compositions of beauty, and it's all displayed, and it's the creativity that goes into it. If you don't have the self-acceptance, which is still a constant struggle for me just in general, and that's because I'm human. But when you get the opportunity to sort of show, hey, this is who I am, and this is what I do, and look at me in all this wonderfulness.
I feel that in a strange way, taking my clothes off in public has given me quite a lot of confidence. There's something about, you know, when you get this kind of hooting and hollering and like applause from the audience, you know how good it feels?
Yeah, you like this? You like it? Yeah, I'll show you some more.
You know, there's something about that that's just like, okay, cool. The applause to me equals this kind of like approval of me. And that means that even if some little part of me happens to jiggle a little bit more because I, might have a little excess here or something, it doesn't really matter because they like it. You know, to me, burlesque is like this great avenue for women. You can be teeny, you can be curvy, you can be short, you can be tall, you can be whatever. And it's the diversity what makes burlesque beautiful, because anybody can look beautiful doing burlesque.
She has a beautiful body, and I don't care what society says. I love her first, and for her to be in a situation where she can feel that. I'm not the only person that thinks this. She thinks I'm biased, but I know
He's biased.
No, I'm Lord Sapphire Noire. As the tradition for burlesque husbands, I had to take her last name. I'm mostly behind the scenes. Her roadie, I do her costumes. Occasionally I'm a prop on stage. But this has been a wonderful journey. Burlesque has helped her in a lot of ways, accept herself for who she is. It's been an outlet for her performing. When we first started dating, I came to the realization that she needed to be performing. It's like oxygen for her.
He's the best husband in the world because, yes, you are. He was the one who encouraged me. He was the one that said, you could totally do this. You need to do this. Everybody would love you doing this. And as a result, he was right. He loves that because I usually tell him he's wrong about everything. And after the whole competition thing started, he's like, you could totally win this. And I'm like, nope, I can't. And then I win and he's like, told you so.
Yeah, one of the very few times I get to tell her that I told you so. And I rubbed it in as much as I could.
Yes, he's a chick about it.
Yes, I love her body. And, for her to start to love her body, I thought it was a wonderful thing for her to do. And when she's performing and showing off her body, now she's getting validation from other people, not just from me. She doesn't listen to me. If this is going to benefit her self-esteem, ultimately that's actually going to benefit me. And when she feels sexy, that's when she's her happiest. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm at a stage in my life where I'm very secure, emotionally. So, and I think that helps. So.
He actually makes comments about, you're not naked enough.
It's also a turn on too. I mean, I can't just sit here. Yeah, I'm a pervert. Yes, I enjoy seeing my wife naked in public. So, yes, I said it.
Oh my God.
asking questions. I'm just gonna be loud, so you might want to ask me to ask questions.
You should ask questions. Let's go ask questions. Let's do it.